80% of people carry at least one hidden narcissistic trait, and chances are you might be one of them. But here's the twist. What if the ancient Stoics, those masters of human virtue, held the key to shattering these illusions of self? Today, I'm not just exposing these 5 subtle signs. I'm diving deep into the Stoic mind to show you how to confront them, master them, and become the best version of yourself. Stick with me, this isn't just about seeing the flaws. It's about forging a path to freedom. Imagine a world where every man sees himself as the center of the universe, a king on a throne built of mirrors, reflecting only his own glory. Sounds absurd, right? Yet as a philosopher of human ethics, shaped by logic and the raw truth of existence, I've come to see that this isn't far from how many of us live. Narcissism isn't always loud or obvious. It hides into the shadows of our habits, whispering lies we mistake for strength. But the Stoics, those unflinching seekers of virtue, saw through this facade. They understood that true power lies not in exalting the self, but in mastering it. In this journey, we'll uncover 5 hidden signs of narcissism, not to judge, but to illuminate. And with each sign, I'll offer you Stoic wisdom, not as a lecture, but as a weapon to reclaim your soul. Let's begin. 1. You dominate every conversation. We've all met that person, the one who turns every chat into a monologue about their triumphs, their dreams, their woes. But what if that person is you? The first sign of hidden narcissism is when you hog the spotlight, leaving no room for others. Studies suggest conversational narcissists take up 70% or more of the airtime, dismissing others' voices as mere background noise. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who wrestled with his own ego daily, wrote, "You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them accordingly." For the Stoics, listening wasn't just politeness. It was a discipline of humility. They believed the self is a fleeting shadow. Why let it drown out the world? I once knew a man, let's call him James, who could talk for hours about his startup ideas, never once asking about my day. At first, I admired his confidence, but over time, I saw the cost. Friends drifted away, and he never noticed. Narcissism isn't strength, it's a prison of isolation. The Stoics would say James wasn't free. He was enslaved to his need for validation. Next time you're tempted to ramble, pause, count to 5. Ask a question instead. Freedom begins when you let others breathe. 2. You feel superior to everyone else. Ever catch yourself thinking, I'm smarter, richer, better looking than them? That's the second sign, what some call tall man syndrome, a belief in your own exceptionalism. It's not about height, it's about the arrogance that creeps in when success or status swells your head. Seneca, the Stoic sage, cut through this delusion. We're all equal under the hand of fate. To the Stoics, pride was a fool's game. Wealth, beauty, power. They're gifts of fortune, not proofs of worth. The moment you think you're above others, you've lost the plot. Picture this. A CEO I once met, let's call her Laura, strutted into every room like she owned it. She'd interrupt juniors mid-sentence, convinced her ideas were gold. But when her company hit a crisis, her superiority crumbled. No one stepped up to help. Why? She'd built no bridges. The Stoics would nod knowingly. True greatness isn't in standing tall, it's in lifting others. Today, write down 3 things you owe to someone else: a mentor, a friend, even a stranger. Humility isn't weakness, it's the root of strength. 3. Rules don't apply to you. Speeding through a red light because you're late? Ignoring a deadline because it's beneath you? If rules feel like suggestion, that's the third sign of narcissism. The self-obsessed see laws as shackles for lesser mortals. Epictetus, the former slave-turned-philosopher, said, "Accept what you can't change and master what you can." To the Stoics, rules aren't tyranny. They're the scaffolding of a rational life. Defying them doesn't make you bold. It makes you brittle. I recall a colleague, Tom, who'd sneak extra breaks at work smirking, "They can't touch me." Until they did, he was fired, and his smugness turned to shock. The Stoics would see this coming a mile away. Freedom isn't lawlessness, it's living in harmony with reality. Tom didn't break the rules, he broke himself. Next time you're tempted to bend a rule, ask, "Is this worth my peace?" Virtue, not rebellion, sets you free. 4. Criticism cuts you like a knife. The fourth sign hits hard. If criticism, even the gentle kind, sends you into a rage or a sulk, narcissism might be at play. You dish out judgment, but can't take it. Marcus Aurelius had a gem for this. If someone corrects you, thank them. They've given you a chance to grow. The Stoics saw criticism as a mirror, not a blade. To flinch from it is to cling to a fragile lie about yourself. I once critiqued a friend's writing. Politely, I thought. He exploded, calling me jealous. Later, he admitted he couldn't handle the sting. That's narcissism's trap. It builds a fortress around your ego, but the walls are glass. The Stoics would urge him to drop the shield and face the truth. When criticized, breathe. Ask, "Is there truth here?" Growth starts where defensiveness ends. See how you blame others to avoid shame. Last sign. When you mess up, do you point fingers? Spilled milk as a kid, a missed deadline as an adult. If it's always someone else's fault, that's narcissism dodging accountability. Seneca nailed it. To err is human, but to own it is freedom. The Stoics didn't dodge blame. They embraced it. Why? Because only by facing your flaws can you mend them. I knew a guy, Mike, who botched a team project and blamed the intern. The team saw through it, and Mike's reputation tanked. He didn't escape shame. He amplified it. The Stoics would say he traded a moment of discomfort for a lifetime of regret. Next mistake you make, own it. Say, "I screwed up, let me fix it." That's not weakness, that's courage. Let's pause for a real story. Years ago, I worked with a man named Daniel, a textbook narcissist, though he'd never admit it. He'd monologue in meetings, flaunt his Ivy League degree, and scoff at company policies. One day, he pitched a bold idea. Ignoring warnings, it'd flop. It did, spectacularly. Instead of owning it, he blamed the team, the market, even the weather. The fallout? He lost his job, his allies, and I suspect, a piece of his soul. What would the Stoics say? They'd point to Daniel's refusal to face reality. His ego was his jailer. But here's the kicker. Daniel could have turned it around. One honest, "I was wrong," paired with a Stoic resolve to learn. And he'd have been a phoenix, not a wreck. That's the power of this philosophy. It doesn't just expose, it redeems. So 80% of us carry these traits: dominating talks, feeling superior, dodging rules, hating criticism, shifting blame. But here's the Stoic truth. You're not doomed. Recognizing these signs isn't a sentence. It's a starting line. Marcus, Seneca, Epictetus, they didn't preach perfection. They practiced progress. Take Daniel's story. Take mine. I've caught myself in these traps and clawed my way out with stoic grit. You can too. Pick one sign today, just one, and apply the fix. Pause before you speak. Thank your critic. Own your slip-ups. You won't change overnight, but you'll change. And that's what this channel's about. Not flawless heroes, but flawed humans chasing virtue. CTA. Drop a comment. Which sign hit home for you? Try one Stoic move today and tell me how it goes. Hit subscribe if you're ready to break free with us. The Stoic beacons lighting the way. Let's walk it together.